veteran, doesn't believe he is the father of the 18-year-old daughter due to the fact of his wife allegedly parading around the town while he was gone.
You say you began exotic dancing to make extra money.
Yes, sir.
Because Mr. Threlkeld's military salary was inadequate to live on, and that led to a few indiscretions. When did you first discover that your wife had been unfaithful?
I was overseas in Afghanistan, and I was at up in the Northeast, and a soldier of mine came up to me and tapped me on the boot and said, "Hey, I need to go outside. We need to talk right now." Earlier on in the day, me and him got into some words, so I thought we were going to, settle it. Well, it turns out his wife and my wife were friends, and she had found out that she was actually stripping as we spoke. And at the time, I found out about it. I thought, it was all just a hoax. So I went, calmly to the internet lounge, got on Facebook and asked her, "Hey, I told you I didn't want you doing it at all." And she didn't really say anything, honestly. And right after I left there, our base actually got attacked, and they actually turned off the internet for 3 weeks. So I was in the dark for 3 weeks.
Found another guy on his wife's Facebook account, and he started having doubts.
And I get on Facebook, and there's some clown on there saying, liking all her skimpy photos. Was following her. He liked that she was starting working at the club. So then I started doing a little bit of research, wondering, who this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the phones, and I called her and I said, "Hey, tell me about this guy that's going on." And she says, "Oh, it's nothing. It's just a friend, etc." The same BS that every girl says.
First of all, we were done. He hacked my Facebook. He invaded my privacy.
So
that's how we found out. There were messages, yes, but...
Actually, ma'am, see, she's going to...
No.
That's already a lie. I got on there, and on the inbox, I see, "Oh, baby, I can't wait to see you later on tonight. I had a great time with you. I can't wait to see, the last few days we've spent together. It's been amazing."
According to Ms. Threlkeld, the marriage was over, so she could do whatever she wanted.
We were not together. We had a phone conversation, and he had said, "We're going to get a divorce, and I'll send you the divorce papers."
Ms. Threlkeld, you say you guys were done.
Yes,
So in other words, these things that he's finding on your Facebook and these indiscretions you're telling him about, this really shouldn't be an issue, because in your mind, you thought your marriage was over.
Stuff as it may be.
Yes, because I wanted to do what I want to do.
Ma'am.
Let me explain.
Okay, now we're getting to the truth.
Okay.
You wanted to do what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
And why is it that you wanted to
Because
strip?
we got married too young.
Hooking or stripping?
It's not hooking.
You're selling your body for money. Hooker.
He finds out that his wife was cheating on him straight from the horse's mouth.
So you're riding down the highway.
Yeah, she has her phone, and I snatched the phone from her, and I started going through it. And as I was looking through it, there was a number that she'd called like 13 times. So I called him right back, and he answers the phone. "Hey, I said, 'Who is this? Are you the one that's been my wife?' He said, yes, I've been." And now her defense, she starts laughing, saying, "Ha, I knew he was just going to say that. He's just saying that to make you mad." Like throughout the night, I guess she had not gone over there for 3 or 4 days or so. He texts her and says, "I guess I figured now who you picked." So she starts crying, and I said, "Why are you crying?"
We were already done
and she's
by
like,
then.
"Well,
Why would
he
it
was my
matter what I
boyfriend."
do? Why do you care?
Why would you have a boyfriend if you're married? Paper or no paper?
We were done.
You had papers?
Well, why do we have to have papers to be done? You said it was over.
Because in a marriage...
It's called a divorce.
Yeah,
So we were...
After all of this, we haven't talked about the conception of the baby.
Your last child in which you feel you may or may not be the father.
Well, I was
Why don't you just be quiet?
when I was overseas and I found out about her stripping and her cheating, there was a few options that came across my head so when I got back home, within those first week or two, we had sex like 4 or 5 times a day, and I purposely
She doesn't wanna hear
was
that.
trying to get
So you
pregnant.
had it in your mind that if I get my wife pregnant, she'll stop stripping.
Kind of like how she just said, "I'm going to strip and I'm going to do whatever I want because that's what I'm going to do."
we were done.
I said, "Oh, really? Okay, I'll give you a 9-month break on me." I mean, so...
The bottom line, Your Honor, is I had to support my children. There are things you need to do regardless, and I knew he wasn't going to get a job when he came back.
Within 3 weeks of us being home, she was pregnant. So, I mean, I don't know if it was my devious, messed up head that got her pregnant,
course
or the
it
dude.
would.
So that's the reason 100% why we're here.
Because the truth is that even though you had that plan in your mind,
Kids
you were
now.
also sleeping with another man during that same time period.
Yes,
Am I
Your
correct?
Honor.
The threat of a lie detector test makes Ms. Threlkeld spill the beans on all the times she cheated on him.
And she kept saying, "Oh, yeah, it's fine, I'll do it, no big deal."
Why don't
Well,
we
when it
need a
comes
lie
when it comes
detector
closer
test? We
to
don't need to
actually
take one.
doing it, she starts, getting nervous. I could start telling from body language and, tone of her voice, she was getting nervous.
We
She
don't need a
tells
lie
me straight
detector
out.
test. We just need communication. There's no
She tells me
reason.
straight out.
What happened?
She tells me straight out about the people that she actually cheated on me. Right after our first daughter, she cheated on me with a guy when she was going to cosmetology school. On her way to cosmetology school, she goes to his house. And a little bit before that, he was taking pictures of both of us. And when she went there to go check the photos, she got a tour of the house, and lo and behold, the tour ended at the room. There was a friend of mine that we've been friends with for a couple years, and when I went to AT, I think it was either annual training or drill, she was watching TV next to this one guy, and she started falling asleep, and next thing you know, he rolled over on her, and she thought it was
Your
me.
Honor, when he... No.
And had sex with him.
I did make a mistake, yes. He's controlling, he is verbally abusive, emotionally. He treats my daughter differently than the other
she's
two.
a daddy's girl.
Well, that's
He
because
calls her,
he
"You
has
wanna explain the name
explicitly
that you
said
call
he
her?"
doubts that he may or may not be her father.
It could be 50-50 chance, honestly, Your Honor.
Anybody got a quarter?
Judge Lauren is ready to dish out the results, and we are here for them.
In the case of Threlkeld versus Threlkeld pertaining to 1-year-old Liliana, Mr. Threlkeld, you are Liliana's father. Ms. Threlkeld, it seems like you became instantly emotional. Is that relief or is that
Yes, Your Honor, it's
joy?
relief.
February 2011 to be exact when I found out. There's not been a day that's gone by that I haven't let her not relive the mistakes she made. It's like we're stuck with each other.
I think what's important today about this news is that the doubt, fear associated with it is gone now.
I feel like I'm actually holding her as my daughter now. There's no wall dividing the amount of love that I give to her.
I'm from that same school. Ain't no friend of mine sleeping with my son. That ain't gonna never happen. That's not my world. Order, let's get some order. Both of you all confused. He's sleeping with both of y'all. Okay, so look.
A man had 4 children with his live-in lover before disappearing to marry another woman. The paternity of their 5th child is in question, and Judge Lake discovers that he's still sleeping with both women.
Miss Thomas, you claim you spent 6 years in a relationship with the defendant, Mr. Taylor, and gave him 5 beautiful children. In return, he cheated on you and is now questioning the paternity of your youngest child, 8-month-old Jakai. You are here to prove paternity and win him back. Mr. Nelson, you say while you were home taking care of your children, Miss Taylor was out at all hours with other men. You say it's her many infidelities that convinced you that Jakai is not your son.
Mr. Nelson's doubts come from the alleged infidelity of Miss Nelson.
Not your Honor. It was good in the beginning when we first started having children. And then after that, it's like me and her started like both doing our own little thing. And we was already about to split, but she ended up getting pregnant. But at that time, she was already messing around with other guys. So I didn't know what to believe.
It was rocky, but I was not sleeping with different men. Mr. Nelson was the only one that I was sleeping with at the time, especially during my conception.
Miss Thomas believes that Mr. Nelson was cheating on her.
It's because it was his cheating, Your Honor. He cheated on me throughout almost our whole entire relationship.
So, Miss Thomas, why put up with that?
We went through hard times. Like, why wouldn't you want to make something like that work with somebody you had all these years with?
He claimed she refused to leave the guy she was cheating on him with.
It was easy. I asked her, Your Honor, I said, are you gonna leave this guy alone? She said no. She was like, let me think about it. I even threatened with her. I was like, if you don't leave him alone, I said, I'm gonna go back to North Carolina. She was like, that's on you and everything.
So wait a
She
minute,
did
you
do
had
it.
4 children together and then you find out Miss Thomas is with another guy?
How did he find she was cheating on him?
Dude, picture was popping up on her phone.
It didn't start like that. He decided to leave because at that
Why did I
time
leave, though?
we did grow apart.
I used to find stuff on her purse and everything. She'd be like, I'm going to work today.
Because I went to the
She'd come back and be like, you like this outfit right here? I'm like, yeah, where you going? Well, you worked all week.
Oh, so you feel like she started...
Things are getting interesting.
We were.
So what is this? Why then do you start having other men popping up on your phone?
It wasn't men, it was that one man, not men.
And why? Why did you get in a relationship with this one man? As retaliation for his cheating?
Basically. So he seen how I felt all them years he cheated on me. He felt it.
After being together for 5 years with 4 children, the circumstances surrounding the 5th child's conception are what created doubts for Mr. Nelson.
To put a nail on that if she was messing with me and the same guy around the same time. When I got back from North
Your
Carolina,
Honor, that is not true.
And then
So
what
I was
else?
like-
And Your Honor, that same day he said that, we walked to the store and I took 2 pregnancy tests in front of him. And then they ended up negative. So I was not pregnant.
She brought evidence to the court to support her claim.
It looks like around the 28th is when your cycle begins.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in November, we see where your cycle ends.
Yes, Your
We
Honor.
see that you are ovulating
Yes, Your
Friday the 6th to the 11th.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then on the 10th and 11th, you got sex.
Because those are the 2 days that we had sex while I was ovulating, Your Honor.
Those were the 2 days you had sex with
Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson.
When she got pregnant, he didn't deny paternity outrightly. he was busy with 2 women.
He was going around telling everybody that I was pregnant. Up until the time he met Miss Campbell, that's when he started denying my son. Mind you, he was cheating on me with her. I didn't know about her until I found out she was calling him through Facebook. And he was trying to lie then because we were still messing around even when he was with her. It's just also that we still mess around still to this day.
Oh, you mighty quiet now, Mr. Nelson.
He didn't deny messing around with both of them. Ms. Campbell was called into the stands next.
Please tell the court when you found out that your husband was now sleeping with his ex.
It's a video I found. The video is dated April 3rd, which would have been, I guess, the first day or so that she had showed up in Greensboro. All I know is I saw her demeanor when she came around, and she was kind of like high-stepping. I'm like, okay, this is a person that's supposedly supposed to be so hurt.
When they started arguing about who the side chick was between them, they got on Judge Lauren's nerves and she had to check them.
Order, let's get some order. Both of you all confused. He's sleeping with both of y'all. Okay, so look, let's clear the air. Neither one of you are on a step higher than the other. Because you may now be his wife, but that's the mother of all his children and maybe another one. You all both look miserable.
Ms. Thomas brought damning evidence to the
Make
court.
his marriage work, let your marriage work. I'll try to move forward with my life. He texts me, he calls me and tells me how much he misses me and wants to be with me. It's not the other way around, and I have messages. And if he wants to be with me—
Did you bring the messages to court with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Thomas argues with Ms. Campbell about her feelings for Mr. Nelson. She claims she doesn't feel any type of way for him. Judge Lauren Lake thinks otherwise.
Stop. There's no sense in standing here when the woman's just trying to acknowledge that both of you are in an emotional battle over a man who's taking advantage of both of you, and then you sit up and say you don't feel some kind of way. You do feel some kind of way. You got 4 kids.
She further tries to convince herself of being lucky that she didn't end up marrying Mr. Nelson. Judge Lauren wasted no time in setting her straight.
Is
You
Nelson's
angry.
wife.
But the point is that's enough to hurt any woman.
But I could have been Mrs. Nelson too.
But you
what'd I
not.
do? I turned that down. Because I'm glad I didn't marry him, because I would be going through the same thing right now. I'll be married to him getting cheated on too.
You still in it. She just got a piece of paper.
It's time for the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Nelson, you are the father.
Dixon is holding on to just one thing that makes him believe that he isn't the father of Ms. Spruill's daughter, but Ms. Spruill believes otherwise, and she's in paternity court to prove to Mr. Dixon that he's indeed the biological father of her baby.
Are furious that you had to file a paternity case against the defendant, Mr. Dixon, due to his denial of your daughter, Skya. You say you know the exact night you conceived, and he is her father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Dixon, you claim that your relationship with Ms. Spruill was purely sexual.
Mrs. Spruill claims she knows the exact night she conceived baby Skya, so is sure about Mr. Dixon being the baby's father. But Mr. Dixon, on the other hand, claimed one conversation made him know he's in fact not the little girl's father.
Why is he denying paternity?
He flip-flops. One day this is his daughter, the next day it isn't, and I'm tired. I'm irritated. It's to the point that it shouldn't be called for. If this is gonna be your baby 24/7. Don't go back and forth.
So he's going back and forth.
Yes, Your Honor.
1 minute she is, 1 minute.
You can go back and forth trying to get groceries or buying new clothes, but a line has to be drawn when a baby is in question. So Mr. Dixon really needs to pick a side. Maybe he will be able to do that after hearing the DNA test result from Judge Lake today.
Is that true, Mr. Dixon?
No, it's not, Your Honor. I don't claim this child is mine because I have serious doubts about this child. It's been multiple
You just came and
occasions
saw her
to
last
say,
week.
like I said, multiple
You just came and
occasions
seen
to
her
say
last
that
week,
this
though.
girl
Did
is
you go
mine.
see the
You
baby
just
last
came and
week?
saw her last week. Played with her, spent the night with her, and all.
Well, you know, I wanted to go check on her because,
Why would you check on a child that's not yours?
well, y'all, look here, let me explain it.
Maybe he was just checking on the baby to give paternal love Ma Spruill. But then again, giving paternal love to the baby you don't want to be yours so bad? That's strange, but we can agree Mr. Dixon could just have a soft spot for babies and Skya's own is in excess. Regardless of the situation, Mr. Dixon has some explanation to do.
First, I want to start about my doubts about this child. Would you like me to step into the board and explain this diagram to you?
You brought an exhibit.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see.
Let me brought this down. Well, as you can see, I have a family that works at a store. On this particular day, my family member wanted to present Skya around. So one day she went to work and was like, She was like, hey, we're so excited about our newest family member, Skya.
That was a very great depiction in the form of an animation. We are getting stringed into this, but wait. Mr. Dixon's interesting depiction boldly explained how the conversation that made him believe he's not the girl's father. And to be fair, anyone would have doubts if someone popped out of nowhere to say your baby belonged to their brother. Oh, there's also the part where Ms. Spruell is a compulsive liar. Now we need to dig deeper.
When she was pregnant, she said, I slipped and fell in the tub.
Your
You
sister
texted me
took me to the hospital.
you texted me saying you in the ER the whole entire time, but once I'm on the phone,
His
you in the
sister
living
took
room.
me to the hospital. And as far as the co-worker telling his family member, that same co-worker got on the phone with me and his family member and let it be known his family member was mistaken. He wasn't even around. The other male let it be known he's lying.
Okay, Ms. Spruell. The coworker came back to say another thing, but can we believe his words though? The coworker said what he said earlier without anyone asking him to, but Ms. Spruell wants the court to believe the coworker is now telling the truth after she hit him up. That's suspicious.
She had one phone that she used to be on the internet, and she posts her whole entire life on Facebook. She has another phone where she texts and calls. She plays like she's two people on Facebook.
He has we have no communication because, like I said,
he's not allowed to have your main number, and he's the father of your child.
Mr. Dixon ran off to Alabama when his daughter was 1 month old, to say he was working.
Making babies? Well, maybe Mr. Dixon was onto something we don't know about just yet. Ms. Spruell believes Mr. Dixon is just trying to get away from his responsibilities to make things easier for himself, but Ms. Spruell doesn't look like she would allow him. But then again, that's only if the baby is truly his baby.
He's down in Alabama making babies, but he's using your child's photo.
Oh yeah, she was all on his Facebook until the baby mama found out. Then my daughter just disappeared.
First of all,
no
Your Honor,
pictures, no
them
nothing.
pictures was not on there when I moved to Alabama. Them pictures was up there before
Your Honor,
I moved to Alabama.
Ms. Spruell, you have evidence.
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Jerome, thank you. You say he accepted the baby at first, and this is your evidence to prove it.
Having pregnancy symptoms on behalf of your woman is funny and weird at the same time. Ms. Spruell won't stop yelling like she's been waiting for this moment to unleash her anger on Mr. Dixon all her life. She's finally getting the opportunity, and she's not letting it go.
You so sure this is my child, but yet I'm not on the birth certificate.
You weren't there when she was born. What you mean?
But yet
you
we kept
wasn't
talking
there.
about me putting myself on the birth certificate, and I even came up with money to change her last name. But you kept pushing it off. But you so sure this is my child. Why is you instead of pushing it off?
Because you don't do
and I'm
anything
coming up
for
with
her.
money
That is a
to
privilege.
change.
So when he came up with the money to change her last name, why not do it?
Mr. Dixon claims another reason he doubts the paternity of the child is because Ms. Spruell wouldn't allow him out his name on the birth certificate. But Ms. Spruell says he wasn't present at the birth and hasn't earned the right to sign to be the baby's father. Now, we really need to know if Mr. Dixon is the biological father of this baby or otherwise.
Spruell versus Dixon. When it comes to 13-month-old Skya Spruell, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Dixon, you are the father.
Ms. Streeter is in court saying that the defendant convinced her to have his child while hiding a fact from him that he's a married man, and the only reason why he's denying the child is to save his marriage. The defendant, however, did not exactly deny the claims.
Father of Ms. Streeter's child, you claim that Ms. Streeter was openly sleeping with other men besides you. Today's results will determine whether or not you'll be able to save your marriage. Is that correct?
That's correct. When Judge Lake asked Mr. Streeter why she thinks he's the father of her child, she says that both of them were dating for 8 months, and half of that time, he was asking her to have a baby with him. He says he didn't get to raise any of his, so she accepted his request, and now that it's time to step up, he's dodging the ball. Few moments after she speaks, when the defendant says this.
She's telling you guys a bunch of lies. A whole lot of lies. That's convincing. If I didn't know any better, I'd be convinced.
What is true?
That's definitely not the truth. We went in and took a birth control out together. That's definitely not true.
We planned this child, and when we
The defendant, to me, seems sincere. Well, he's in court admitting his mistakes. He says that he and Ms. Streeter did meet and he did find her attractive. Isn't that what they always say? He then followed it up with a confession that he did tell her some things so he could have his way with her. But he says he told her from the beginning that he was married, to the extent of him paying her in blackmail not to tell his wife. Talk about a mess.
His name, and I had went on Facebook and found the relative, then found Mrs. Hartfield's page, then that's when I seen pictures of them. And I didn't even call her right away because he had told me, like, them pictures are old, she's professional, and for her image, she can't, she don't want people to know.
If that mess isn't messy enough, The plaintiff says that he just texted her a few days ago trying to get back with her. And shockingly, she's in court with the receipts. If there's ever one wish I'll have, it is to never get caught in a lie. Ever. Get your coffee or juice, folks. You'll need it for this one.
Over.
Oh my God.
And the next line says, I'm serious, I am horny as hell.
That is true. I did send those messages.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I
But
did.
he's a married man.
Hold on. Let me explain to you why. Because of this game that she and I...
His excuse, or should I say reason, is that both he and her love to play a game. And if he doesn't play the game with her, she would go crazy. I can't believe I thought this man was sincere. I'm just glad Judge Lake gave him his dose of clarity that he's been lacking.
You're old married man, Mr. Hartfield. What game are you playing with a 22-year-old girl?
Okay. I tell you what.
No. I want to understand. What game is this you feel like you need to play with a 22-year-old girl?
Honestly, I got the man all wrong. I thought he was admitting his mistakes, but all he's doing is trying to weather the storm when there's a child that could possibly be his and could, quote unquote, ruin his marriage. The game she plays is the game of a politician and his mistress, pun intended, where their relationship is on blackmail, but unfortunately for him, he's too old for that and he doesn't have any evidence. I must say this man is borderline delusional. The evidence is literally all in his face.
Your wife does not look happy.
Your Honor,
Your wife is sitting there having to listen to testimony about you sending text messages to a 22-year-old girl talking about you horny.
Judge Lake decides to hear from his wife. She testifies that the plaintiff did send him a text giving her the whole details of her husband's affair. And her husband never told her anything. Well, technically, they never do. She then asked him about it and he denied it to her face, saying she's nobody. She then called the plaintiff and wished her luck because the man didn't take care of her own kids. Funny thing is, her words came to pass because he was even at the child's birth excited. But when it came to the birth certificate, things started to become shaky.
When he first signed the birth certificate.
So his name is placed on the certificate of birth. So Mr. Hartfield, you're a married man.
Yes.
But you're on this child's original birth certificate.
No, well, the name is printed. There's no signature of mine.
So at first...
This man is a narcissist. He says that it didn't go that way because all she kept doing was pressing him to sign the birth certificate, which offended him. He says that the plaintiff had other people she was talking to. Well, that's just the kind of thing he'd say. He then disrespects his wife in open court and the judge notices the man is heating up.
Not only that,
that's a fact.
He had more girlfriends than he was
that.
talking to me. When I first met him, he had a lot of women he talked to.
Of course.
A lot.
Of course.
It was
Of course.
So not only was it me, it was other people.
Let the truth come out. That's exactly what I said.
Apparently, he had another place and his wife didn't know about it. I mean, that's a pretty textbook move for a cheater. And the first time she found out about it was when the plaintiff told him. He then lashes out and tells his wife to go sit down. Judge Lake just couldn't take it anymore with the way he's disrespecting his wife.
Mr. Hartfield, you may be one of the most disappointing men I've ever seen in this courtroom.
Thank you.
You are really. No, the clapping, I mean, what a disgrace.
It got to a point where Judge Lake says that she prays that he's not the child's father. I mean, that man has to be the most Karen that a Karen can be. He even reveals to the court that his wife is his 7th wife and none of what any of them do or say matters to him. Just a classic narcissist.
Okay, that's cool. That's okay.
Do you understand now what you just made a child with?
Right.
No, look at me. I don't know what he told you up until this point. I will say that con men like him, they can be very charismatic.
I've never seen Judge Lake so angry. That man truly is one of the worst.